Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. This message from Muhammad Khanaqin for Face of Kurdistan for you, Joe Biden. You go check up in the doctor. You have 2 years. Your life is 2 years. 2 years from now, from today to 2 years or 1 year and 6 months or 2 years. Your life. After this one, you pass away. You go check up in the doctor. This message from Muhammad Khanaqin for Face of Kurdistan. You do good job for the USA for the 50th state in 2 years. You do pull down Iran for us. We want Kurdistan coming new country. No more Iran, no more Iraq, no more Turkey, no more Syria for Face of Kurdistan. We give you.
Oh, thank you, guy. I don't know what his name was. Thank you, Iranian man.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
God damn it. I fucking
Joe
love that.
Biden. Joe Biden.
There's only 5,000 views? Hold on. Oh, you couldn't find the original. Okay.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden, wake up. Joe Biden, wake up. 9/11. Today's same day. What happened 2001. This is Wally POK, Khanaqin, actual Parsi Kurdistan, Texas, USA. 24/7.
Khorasan, Texas, USA.
Texas, USA. 24/7 every day. Wake up.
Every. How does he do that? Every.
Texas, USA. 24/7 every day.
He doesn't have teeth. That's why he's doing that.
Wake up in USA.
That's a talent right there. Is this Portal?
George W. Bush, they make a 9/11.
He's true. George W. Bush did 9/11. I saw it. I was there. Oh, and that's it for that. Joe Biden, wake up.
Hassan Abi, you have 2 years.
Oh, come on. I don't want to see Hassan. Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
What?
Joe Biden.
It's unstreamable.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden. This message from Muhammad Khanaqin for Face of Kurdistan for you, Joe Biden.
Thank you, Muhammad Harlequin Bird. Very helpful. That's the kind of political stance that I have, to be honest with you. Joe Biden. This is Muhammad Harlequin. Harlequin. There's this other guy I've been seeing on TikTok. What's up, Mungo? There's this other guy I've been seeing on TikTok all over the place. He's absolutely hilarious. I have to show you guys. Oh my god. Holy shit, it's so loud. How do I turn this down?
Toes.
Why?
Knees and toes.
Why did this
Head.
medium done? Why?
Shoulder, knees and toes.
Why?
Knees and toes.
Okay. Okay.
Eyes
Okay.
and ears
Mm.
and mouth and nose.
Yeah.
Head,
Screw. Yeah.
shoulder, knees and toes.
I am understand. Wow.
Knees and toes.
Okay.
I don't know how to like commentate over that. It's just so good. Even the comments is just, we have so much to learn from you. Thanks, brother. Oh, dude, that's not even like his best. Screw me sideways. Absolutely not. No way. Oh, this stuff here.
Why?
This. Oh my god, it's gonna get really ear rapey.
Talk simple. What?
Whoa! Let's see what else he got. Oh, here's
Hello,
this.
Hi. How to do? What this?
This is the guy on the right is making fun of him. He's just talking about like exactly what he says. I think that's his shtick then. This Fahad guy on the right, and the left is just usually he says stuff, but
Hello.
it's just he's such a danger to society. It's so good. Let me see this.
تكمل أجواء العيد بدون وليمة بهالجمال ناخذ يد خروف على الصينية ونضيف عليها قرع وثوم وبصل قرفة ورق غار بهيل أسود ورشة ملح صيني نضيف عليها
It's just no commentary. Looks like a pedo, dude. This, I don't know how to respond to that. His hair does okay. I'm not gonna lie. You do kind of have a point. He does kind of look like one. Poor guy.
Why? Very awesome!
Very awesome. I absolutely love this guy. He's my fucking spirit animal, dude. A fucking pedo. Yeah, I guess. What is this now?
Whoa! Go! Very nice!
Whoa! Go! I don't know. That's all I have to say about him. Menace to society. Absolute. Oh, what? Oh dear. Okay, yeah, we're gonna play this one.
What is this? Whoa! Very dangerous! Last warning, delete this video! What is this?
So Loki is still pretty bad. That's what we're gonna. Yeah, let's just kind of segue away from Ayub Khan and just talk about Loki for a second. That's kind of today's stream. It's not too long of a video. I only have one video because nobody's making content on Loki other than like just really tiny creators that really have nothing to say. It's not good. Yeah, I agree. We've said that multiple times. It's only a 10-minute video, but apparently Captain Midnight, that's the guy who we're talking about today, that's his video. Apparently his videos aren't really all that great. So this is really my first time like interacting with him. I also sent emails to like a couple other people we reacted to. It was I think it was a Loki video and a Justice League video. I can't remember. Or it was a Justice League video and the Last Jedi video, I believe. Yes, that's the first one that we did, and then the Snyder cut I did with Alex. I sent them emails, so hopefully if we do ever get a chance to hear from them, we might get a guest on, and maybe we can have a bit of a conversation about these pieces of media. But other than that, Loki is still bad. I'm still writing stuff for it. It's very slowly, but I must say, Avengers is a very, very good movie. My goodness, that movie holds up so well compared to a lot of the other MCU movies, and it sucks, but like it's so funny. Like the scene where the Iron Man gets Thor and like they fight in the forest, and they're like, "Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?" I almost said grapes. You weareth her. I almost said grapes again. You weareth her drapes. It was so fucking funny. It's just and apparently that was improvised too by Robert Downey Jr. Speaking of Robert Downey Jr., a bit of a segue. I totally forgot about this the other day, but let me see if I can find it. See if I can find this tweet. Here it is. So, the Sunday Times, I don't know who they are. They said big titles of the past decade and brands are franchises established by numerous prequels and sequels. So kind of like I kind of think of Star Wars in this scenario. But they're essentially then they go on to say Robert Downey Jr. is a leading man, but his Iron Man could be played by almost anyone with wit. That's kind of like really undermining Robert Downey Jr.'s acting for Iron Man. Because I remember when all these movies were coming out and I was like learning about Iron Man, one of the things that I learned was that he was a really unpopular character in the comics and in the animated shows too. Like Spider-Man was like the Marvel thing, or I don't even know if it was like Captain America. It was probably Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, the X-Men, those kind of higher ups. Iron Man was kind of off the radar. Nobody really liked him. Aside from the fact like he was really arrogant, and that's kind of something they continue on in the movies. But they very much, Robert Downey Jr. very much plays Iron Man or Tony Stark really, really well, to the point where they're kind of almost the same person. Just to say Robert Downey Jr. only played the character with wit is really undermining his performance as the character. And then they go on to say the character is more important to audiences than the actor, which I highly disagree. If they come out with like another Iron Man, or like they rebooted or something like that. My sound alerts source is offline. Okay, I'll fix that. Thank you, sound alerts. It's a weird way to tell me about it. Is it offline? I think people have been getting that as an issue. I'll take a look into that. But to say the character is more important to audiences than the actor. If there was a sequel coming out in the next few years, or a prequel that plays Iron Man or Tony Stark as somebody other than Robert Downey Jr., I'm sure a lot of people would get pretty pissed, pretty mad. Not only that, but it just cannot be the same character. I don't believe that there's any person other than Robert Downey Jr. that can fit the same character that we want. Now, if you want to make like another Iron Man character, if you want to reboot the series, fine. But why? Why would you want to do that? You could have a completely different character, sure, with some of the same attributes that Tony Stark had in the comics or in the movies. But why? Why would you do that when you have so many characters in the comics? Moon Knight was one of them. I read a little bit about Moon Knight. He's a fucking insane character. He gets beat the shit out of, and he takes the punches when he's not dodging them or something like that. I'd love to learn about Moon Knight or bringing back Daredevil or something like that. But at this point with Disney, I don't think they're gonna do them justice at all. To see Iron Man being played by somebody other than Robert Downey Jr., not only does that mean that the character is not going to be played the same way, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. It just means that if they want to do that, they're milking the shit out of this character. There's no reason. His story is complete. That's one of the things that I said. I responded. I quote retweeted this because a lot of people quote retweeted it, to be frank. But it's a stupid thing to do. I don't understand why you would want it to. Why you would want to do that, other than greed and money. I don't believe for a second that Disney or Marvel wants to bring back this character in the movies simply to create a good story, because that's kind of something we already got with Iron Man. I don't know why you would want to make, like, I don't want another Iron Man prequel movie like Black Widow. That's especially with the shit that happens in Black Widow. I don't even want to get started with that. I hate that movie, but I really, really don't care about that movie. But it really like character assassinates Black Widow, and even now they're making a movie or a TV show where Yelena, which was Natasha's quote unquote sister, she's gonna go after Hawkeye for killing Natasha, and it's so stupid. The premise is so stupid because one conversation with Hawkeye would be all that it takes to stop Yelena from killing him. Where do they get this information from? They just hear, yeah, Hawkeye killed Black Widow. What the fuck? In WandaVision, we know for sure, like the news talking about the events of Endgame, and even in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's also another thing that happens. everybody knows about what happens in Endgame. I don't know if it was like a debrief or something like that, but everybody knows what happens. And in Infinity War. So if they debrief Hawkeye, why would the thing that Hawkeye say be, "Oh, I killed Black Widow to get the Soul Stone"? It's so stupid. Not even a lot of people don't even know how the Soul Stone thing works, other than Thanos, Nebula, probably Gamora. I guess she would. Well, I guess this new one wouldn't know. The one that died would have known. Hawkeye and Black Widow. There's no reason Hawkeye would ever say that she killed Black Widow. Nobody would ever back up that statement, especially in the Avengers. Especially anybody that knows Hawkeye in general. Anybody that has seen the first movie, the first Avengers movie with Hawkeye and Black Widow. It pisses me off that they want to set up this premise that cannot be executed. Ideas are cheap. Or I kind of like stole that, but like ideas are cheap. It's the matter of execution that really, really matters. You can see that in stupid stuff like, not stupid stuff, but like in Rick and Morty, you have extremely ridiculous premises that are executed so well, and like there are serious undertones in those in some of those episodes, like the Meeseeks one. Just the that's the one I just watched before stream. The fact that the mom doesn't know how to be the best woman that she could be, and then she learns that she has to be there for her husband and her family in order to be the best woman that she could be. And she realizes that herself. It's like a fucking hilarious show, and the jokes are so good. But man, some of those serious tones, some of those serious topics, they handle pretty well. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird or something like that. How did I get to Rick and Morty? I'm talking about fucking Iron Man. But oh yeah, Yelena. It's a stupid thing that they're doing. I don't understand why they would want to do that. Frankly, it angers me. It's just, I hate to see the MCU go down in such terrible flames like they are. Now, there's another thing that came out from about Loki. The director, Kate Herron, I don't know how much experience she has in the film industry, but she says she's a writer, director of film, TV, comics, executive, and director in Loki. Sometimes I do come to be excellent to each other. Amazon will debut Lord of the Rings series in September 2022. Oh my god. That's I don't even want to talk about that. Is it Amazon? We'll see. Amazon's made good stuff before, but rarely. I don't want to go off in tangents like I do usually. But Kate Herron has gone out to say that in Loki, by the show's logic, everything has been predetermined by this one character. Kang, and this image really shows it really well. This fucking fool of a man decided to write everything that happens, and these are all extremely good payoffs. We get to see all the Avengers in one place. We get to see Iron Man finally becoming, or Tony finally becoming Iron Man. We get Thanos almost like pretty much fulfilling his mission, and then Iron Man taking it back. All those fantastic payoffs, all those great moments in drama and thrill in those movies are completely ripped because this one dude decided to fucking write it. Instead of just this is the natural things of occurrence. Even though Endgame is so contrived and convoluted as fuck, there's no way that this one person wrote this. Well, I mean, I don't mean to say that. I mean to say that there shouldn't be a person that decided to write all of these things and have it all be predetermined. It's stupid. It really like rips away any investment that I had in the MCU. It's ridiculous to think that this was gonna happen regardless of what his choices were, because if he made any other choice, he was gonna get fucking sent to the end of time and eaten by a cloud dog. Okay, it's a terrible, terrible thing that they've done with this show. Oh, he does have a beard. I was just looking at this emote. I was like, why does he have a beard? Why is the black dude? He does have a beard. So weird. What is this filter on top of him? It makes him look weird. But yeah, just to have that kind of stuff rub it in, it's terrible. Terrible, terrible thing to have. And other news, actually, this is kind of like the elephant in the room. Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney. Look at that shit. Because of the breach of the contract. We're just like, fuck yeah, do that shit. Apparently her salary was based off of box office earnings in like the first week, something like that. But they promised her an exclusive box office opening weekend or something like that. And that's not something that they fulfilled. It was they did the box office stuff. They sent it out in theaters that same day. They sent it was released in theaters. Is when they also released it on Disney Plus, and that's the Disney lawyer stuff. Emily Blunt's movie just came out. It's rumored that they might sue Disney also. Emily Blunt's movie just came. I think they're still doing promos for it, or it might have just came out this weekend. And then Cruella as well, even though that's a shitty movie. I don't know about this movie. Black Widow is also a pretty shitty movie, but even then, they gotta get paid, bro. It's their money. It's fucked up what they did. Oh, and also Gerard Butler suing Millennium Media for $10 million compensation after the success of Olympus Has Fallen. Years ago, Olympus Has Fallen was made. What does this say? White actors knew that they will have problem to get roles, so they sue everyone to get money. What the fuck? Okay, I don't even understand how I'm supposed to address that without sounding like the most retarded person in the world. But yeah, not very nice to see Loki going down in such terrible flames like they are. Kind of sucks. And rewatching
Center of the stage.
shut up. Rewatching stuff like Avengers or Thor. Dude, Thor? Okay. I gotta say some stuff about Thor. Thor it's not a good movie, okay? Don't get me wrong. It really isn't a good movie. However, it is a better movie than quite a few of the newer Marvel movies, like Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Ant-Man the Wasp, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. There's just a bunch of convenient, contrived stuff in here. Well, there aren't a bunch, but there's a few substantial ones. That's what I meant to say. Like the Warriors 3 and Sif going onto Earth for no apparent reason to rescue Thor. Even though there was no way for them to bring Thor back, the logic there doesn't match up. Odin waking up and then immediately grabbing Thor as they're falling off the bridge. There's a few things like that are pretty stupid. However, even that some of the acting is pretty lackluster too. However, the Loki himself is like really well acted, really well written, really well directed. Every action that he makes is pretty reasonable for him. And I really like him in that movie. Actually, like rewatching Thor and looking through it for references for the video that I'm making, he's a really, really compelling character. Is he a tragic character? Kind of. there's a couple articles that I read calling Loki a tragic character rather than an evil one. Here's the thing. They kind of forget that he wants to kill Thor in order to take the throne and erase an entire race. Okay? He is evil. Okay? Don't get that shit wrong. He is evil. He also tried to kill his lifelong friends, the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif. Okay? There is no way in hell you can tell me that he is not evil, okay? Even with the Mind Stone, this retcon that they did in 2018, that the Mind Stone makes him angry towards Thor, and that's why he acts the way he does in Avengers. It's bullshit, okay? Even before that, he wanted to kill Thor multiple times. He deceived Thor once when he was hanging off the Rainbow Bridge, and Thor was right there, and he was begging Thor to help him back up. That was an illusion, and he tries to kill Thor and backstab him, quite literally backstab him, just to kill him so he can take the throne. And it's baffling to me that people think that Loki is not a bad guy, that he's just misunderstood. It's stupid. Like, you can have misunderstood people that have motivations that are reasonable for them. That's Thanos. That's a perfect example is Thanos. Loki is not one of those people. He is a bad guy, but he has motivations as to why he's a bad guy. Okay, and a lot of people are starting to misunderstand that, and it really does not make me happy. It's quite angry. There's a lot of things that are angering me nowadays with Marvel. And What If comes out. Oh my goodness, I don't think What If is gonna be like destructive, but at this point, what do I know? There's they've done a lot of stuff. Marvel has done a lot of stuff to destroy the MCU. It's baffling. It's incredible. However, some people would say otherwise and say that the things that Marvel is doing is pretty good. They're doing a pretty good job. One of those people is Captain Midnight, and he made a video on Loki saying Loki is exactly what Marvel needed. And frankly, I'm going to have to say, just for the record, I disagree fundamentally. But I'm willing to hear him out. I'm open to any arguments that would go against the status quo of what I'm thinking at this moment in time. Who knows? Maybe this guy can win me over with really good arguments about this and this. You actually misunderstood the show. He actually meant to do this, Maybe he was still being manipulated by the Mind Stone or something like that. It's being just completely flip-flopped. But let's see what he has to say, okay?
Captain Midnight.
This video is brought to you by Brilliant. So, some of you may have noticed that with the exception of last week's Black Widow review, I haven't really covered the MCU as much as I used to on this channel. And the reason for that...
That's Yelena, by the way, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, she's gonna... I forgot that they have this fight scene where Natasha...
As much as I used to on this...
Natasha and Yelena, fight each other almost to the point where they try to kill each other. And it's fucking hilarious that... Is that a Guitar Hero drum set? That she's now wants to kill Hawkeye. I think this kind of fight scene was so awkward to me. It was so odd to me. I still don't get it today.
Channel. And the reason for that is pretty simple. After it being such a major part of what I was covering on here for years, I found myself feeling a little burnt out. So a lot of weeks, if there was a choice between talking about Marvel or covering something random that I'd never talked about before, like Narnia or Invincible, I decided to just pick the option that I found more interesting, which is why I wasn't really going out of my way to talk about these new MCU shows. But Loki caught my attention in a way that the previous show didn't.
Oh. You see, WandaVision was the one that caught my attention, but I don't know why Loki would catch your attention. Is it because it's a bigger scale? Is it because there are big stuff happening? Some time travel shit? Let's see.
And even if I might be a little bit late to the party, I wanted to spend this week talking about the show and how I think it really helps kickstart a new era in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, and of course, this will include full spoilers.
Just because Loki's logo has a terrible font doesn't mean you have to, okay? even though I can still read it, that's not a P. That's like a PLG kind of shit. That's Comic Sans. That's disgusting. This looks like something from what's that one cartoon? The Fosters, something Foster, something, I don't know.
For Loki.
Such fantastic powers must not be wasted on small feats. I shall increase.
I started
Hey, why'd you show that?
I shall increase.
I thought you were gonna let it finish. I thought there was gonna be a good point being made there.
I started last week's negative video on Black Widow with some stuff that I did like about it. So maybe
You think Black Widow is a negative movie? It's a bad movie? Ooh,
maybe I'll flip that around and start this one with some reservations that I have with Loki as a show. The biggest issue is I just wish there was more.
What is his elevator? What is his elevator scheme? FE3? IUL? I didn't even notice this until now. Why would you want this? Does this button correspond to this or this? Hold
The
on.
biggest
What's this? There's no...
issue is I just wish there was more of it. As your
I also find it weird that the TVA is only made up of humans rather than aliens from the fucking cosmos, especially if they're variants. Surely they would, inflict their will on all of the cosmos rather than just humans on Earth. So I find it even weirder that despite them being variants, they don't have aliens from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. There's a lot of aliens in those movies. Why aren't they here?
average TV season has shrunk from 22 to 13 to between 6 and 8 episodes. I think we're slowly losing a lot of what makes the medium special. The corner of the MCU that Loki inhabits is really interesting and filled to the brim with potential stories. Stories that could have solidified.
This editing is weird as fuck. There's so many cuts. There's so many cuts that just happen right
makes
now.
the medium special.
2,
the corner
3,
of the MCU that
4,
Loki inhabits
5,
is really interesting
6,
and filled to the
7.
brim with potential stories.
There's 7 cuts until you take a breather. And none of those cuts were even related to what he was saying. It was just random cuts.
MCU that Loki inhabits is really interesting and filled to the brim with potential stories. Stories that could have solidified the supporting cast better
Well,
than
what is that cut? I take so much time in my videos to make sure that I don't have cuts like that. So much time. I take so much care into my videos
solidified the support.
to make sure never to have that cut where it's like you cut into one scene and then the scene cuts to another shot. And I always make sure to cut in to this part rather than right before it.
Supporting cast better than the show was really able to do with so little time to work with. A great example for me would be the relationship between Renslayer and Mobius.
It could be because of copyright, but even then, I have a bunch of cuts in mine too, but they're all related.
We're told time and time again that these two are the best of friends, so when they turn against each other, it's a big moment. But with more episodes to build that relationship, to see Renslayer and Mobius working side by side and solving problems together, it would have hit so much harder emotionally, I think.
I don't know if... I think his argument is that the show should have been longer. There should be more episodes rather than the 6 to 10. It should be 22. I don't necessarily disagree because there's a lot of stuff you can do with fucking 22 episodes of a show. A good example of that is the Death Note, or I'm gonna be such a fucking weeb today. Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist, Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan probably does it best. I might have to rewatch Death Note. They probably do it even better. But they fill it to the to take what he says. They fill it to the brim with content, and to probably see these two working together, I think that payoff would have been more significant. Sure, I think the way that they do it is all right. It's not that great. It's not that good. There should have been more involvement between these two if we want them to if we want her to betray him to be a significant moment. I would have to agree and think that they definitely needed more time together doing stuff together to make us believe that they're actually like partners.
And in general, I just think the TVA is an amazing story engine for a TV show that they could have done a lot more with, and hopefully still will.
What do you mean by that? A story engine?
TVA is an amazing story engine for a TV show that they could have done a lot more with, and hopefully still will in season 2.
Is he saying like the show idea is a good idea for a for show? Like the TVA as an environment, and their job is like a cool, neat little premise and setup for a show? Because I wouldn't necessarily disagree if you work out the issues. I think you could definitely have multiple seasons of this kind of a show. It's kind of like, there's just a bunch of adventures and stuff like that. You got to make sure you do stuff right in the timeline or something like that. But you gotta fix those major time issues if you want that to be applicable thing. Or you can make it so that you're not supposed to. This doesn't have anything to do with the MCU. Take it completely away. Anything and everything that has to do with time is insignificant. Doesn't really matter in terms of writing. You can have that trade-off with like jokes. That's something that they do in comedy movies and TV shows all the time. Rick and Morty, for example, is a perfect example of that. There's a lot of shit that happens in that show that should have much more significant consequences, but it just doesn't happen because it's all for a joke. But even then it does happen. They do like address the topic, but they still make it for a joke, and it's like really well written jokes. That is, I have to say that. Shaun of the Dead is another good one. There's a lot of contrived bullshit in that movie to get the plot going, but there's the characters' reactions to it, and the theme with the characters really well done, and the jokes are extremely well written, even though they're contrived as fuck. The jokes are super well written. That's the kind of with comedy you gotta have to change how you look at those kind of movies with an objective sense of quality. Because with comedy movies, there's quality is more towards the jokes and how well they're laid out, how lazy they are, like Ridiculous Six. Let me see if I can find it. If I can find the clip of the Ridiculous Six, hold on, Six Mule. Is this it? That's, oh my god.
That means he likes you.
That's the joke, okay? So shit like that, not acceptable, okay? That's not funny. But there's so many things in like Rick and Morty and Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, that are really super, super well done. Shrek even. The jokes in Shrek are incredible. Though Shrek is really well written, has a really well written plot anyway. But to have that kind of stuff, like really well written jokes, in consequence for a contrived story, I think is a fine trade-off. I think the trade-off is fine there. But you can have really well written plot with an amazing jokes, and that would be peak comedy media. I think if you can address all those ideas, you can have consistent themes and amazing jokes. Really, really hard to do. Really hard to do. To have really well written jokes that aren't completely contrived, that takes an insane amount of talent. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that's or a show that's so well written as that. But you could have something like that for the Loki show, where things are inconsequential and it's just kind of jokes along the way. That's kind of like the thing with The Office too. There's a lot of like really ridiculous premises, like Michael burning his foot on the stove and then he has to limp around all day, or Dwight Schrute being the one in charge of the insurance. Just amazing jokes written off of that. Even though those premises wouldn't actually happen in like an office setting, you get those kind of ideas. You start it up, and then the jokes right off from that. So it is contrived, but it's not as contrived as something like Shaun of the Dead, where the zombie doesn't kill the humans, or like plot armor. But to have that kind of stuff in a show like The Office, you can definitely apply it to this kind of show. I think it would be a pretty well written show if it was inconsequential to the MCU. That's the big if. Okay, you could definitely, absolutely have a fantastic show if it was inconsequential to the MCU, and you wanted the same exact ideas.
That issue aside, though, I was pretty on board with Loki from the start. The issue that a lot of Marvel stuff on TV can have is that it kind of ends up feeling like the downsized version of what we get in the movies. Not just in terms of the production budget, though that too sometimes, just in terms of the kind of...
The production budget for these is some of the most in the world, right? What the fuck? What was the production budget for Game of Thrones? Hold on. Production budget for Game of Thrones. 2012 and 2015 average budget was 6 million to at least 8 million. Okay. Now production budget for WandaVision. Oh my fucking god! $25 million per episode. Per episode. Hold on. Was the Game of Thrones also 6 to 8 per episode? The 6th season budget was over 10 million per episode. Okay, so it is per episode. To have WandaVision 25, it's the most in the world. What about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? That was 150 million total, which is more than Game of Thrones for sure, because that was 100 million total. Was Falcon and the Winter Soldier a success? But nowhere near 350 million. What? Come on. Why is it loading for so long? Anyway. Budget for Loki. Okay. $150 million also. That's half of Avengers Endgame. That still pales in comparison to the cost of a movie like Avengers Endgame, but it's astronomically high for a TV show. To say that the MCU shows are low budget, they're not. It's literally not. Undeniable evidence.
Version of what we get in the movie.
Undeniable evidence that the production for these shows are way higher than some of the movies. What's the production budget for let's see, Captain America Civil War, my favorite movie? $250 million. Okay, what about Iron Man? $140 million. It's more than Iron Man. And even then, $140 million back in 2008, if you adjust it for inflation, how much would it be? They probably have it for inflation here. September, blah, 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 blah. These are a lot of words. Pre-production, development. Hold on. Reception? Anyway. What about Doctor Strange? Here we go. I'm pretty sure Doctor Strange was kind of low. Doctor Strange, 165 to 236. Why is that such a big... That's such a big range. $232 million. Okay, so it's more than some of the older movies. Wait, what about Thor? Hold on. Production budget for Thor. $150 million. So exactly the same. Captain America. $140 million. Some of the what about Avengers? There's no way that it's less or more than Avengers. 220. Okay, that sounds about right. But that for a show is ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Having what's the most successful TV show of all time? Game of Thrones. Yep. So Game of Thrones is already higher than Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones budget was way higher. Oh, what about Stranger Things? Budget. 6 to 8 million per episode. So same thing as Game of Thrones, but these shows way fucking higher.
Downsized version of what we get in the movies. Not just in terms of the production budget, though that too sometimes, just in terms of the kind of stories they can tell.
I don't think that's a fair argument to say that it's because of 6 to 8 or 6 to 10 episodes that's the reason why they can't have as good of a story. That's a terrible thing. It's longer than a typical Marvel movie. You can easily have a really well written show. It's just a really long movie. Hateful Eight. That's fucking. I have things to say about Hateful Eight. I don't think it was that great, but I can recognize that it was well written ish. There's an argument to be had about that, but that movie was split into 4, and it's essentially like a mini series, so people can consume it easier. That's kind of what they do with these shows. Are kind of like, instead of having scene cuts or like different acts, you kind of have episodes. Even though with the episodes there are still 3 acts total throughout the season.
Loki doesn't have,
but you can definitely write a well-written show with just 6 to 10 episodes. It's a stupid idea to think otherwise.
kind of stories they can tell. Loki doesn't have that problem. It's taking massive, interesting swings and not trying to limit the consequences of them. Loki taps into something that I think often makes for really fun genre TV, making the stakes both incredibly huge and personal at the same time.
Making the stakes incredibly huge and personal. The stakes personal. The stakes are hard, like they're almost barely personal. To be fair, it is like it's not even a personal thing. It's kind of anybody would do that. To think that I'm taken to a place where I'm told that I can't do anything other than what these people tell me that I am supposed to do. Anybody would take that personally. Are you kidding me? Anybody would go up there and say, this is not allowed. You can't do that. Fucking Galactus would say that. People who take other people's will and fucking eat planets. Who, like, fucking slave masters would, if they're taken by the TVA, they would say, hey, this isn't allowed. They're like, huh, this is kind of hypocritical of you. It is also incredibly huge. Don't get me wrong. The stakes are ginormous. It is the biggest that's ever been done. But it's so artificial. It's not natural. There's no build up. There's this thing called power creep you got to do. That's kind of what they do with the Infinity Stones. They don't really explicitly show what the Infinity Stones can do, but when they do show what they can do, it's pretty limited. Even though in Endgame, or Infinity War, Thanos does the thing where like he turns Drax and Mantis into like ribbons. That should not have been done, because that was what ruined all the fight scenes. Having that power to be able to do that and just stop any fight, terrible thing to put in your show or movie. But you gotta have that power creep, right? You can't just immediately go from we just saved the fucking universe from being snapped, from half of the universe being snapped. We brought all 50% of that population back. We saved the fucking universe, and then go to the point where it's like, well, actually, I wrote that. That was supposed to happen anyway. But there are bigger issues at hand now. You can have multiverses, and then other Kangs will fight each other now and then there's gonna be another Kane that goes on top, and then he's gonna be the one who restores the timeline. So then there was always one timeline, but then there's, at some point you kill me, and then there's multiple timelines. To have it go from that to that is a huge jump that needs to be built over. I don't even have a metric for how you can build that. It's to the point where I just wouldn't build that at all. You gotta avoid writing that, because it's like something you can fantasize about, but writing it is a horrendous process because you ruin everything. Like the fact that they put the Infinity Stones in a fucking drawer and call them paperweights is such an insult to so many people. But it's not exactly. It is wrong. Like, I don't think you shouldn't do that. But if you want to do something like that, you could do something like. I heard this reference in another YouTube live stream where they were saying in Indiana Jones, it was the Ark of the Covenant was taken into a box, into a huge warehouse where there's a shit ton of other boxes. And it's just the implication that really shows how big the stakes have become, because you don't know what's in all those other boxes. But it's not, the Ark of the Covenant isn't insulted. The power isn't reduced. Its implications are still really high and really important. But what they do in Loki, they put it in a drawer and call it paperweights, rather than doing something similar where they call it, yes, this is the Infinity Stones from this timeline. We're gonna keep them safe here, or we have a bunch of them in this locker room. We're gonna keep it there, or something like that. I don't know. It's something where you have to write it. Where it's something where you don't write it, first off. But if you have to write it, you have to be so incredibly careful with it, to the point where you have to consider every little implication, and there's so many implications to have with that, like the idea of what those other Infinity Stones do. If it doesn't work here, why, and you got to be able to not undermine its own power to increase the stakes of the show. I think that's the biggest issue with this show, is that it completely undermines the rest of the MCU for its own sake. And that's pretty selfish. I don't know about you, Kate Herron. It seems pretty selfish to me.
I mean, in the show, the universe itself literally hangs in the balance. This is hardly anything new in a comic book-based story, but I think...
Hangs in the balance. Not new for a comic book story. I don't know. It's kind of... Well, I mean, to say like, oh, the universe is going to be destroyed or something like that, yeah, okay. It's a silly thing. It's ridiculous, and the stakes are gigantic. It's like in The Rise of Skywalker. Remember when they had a shit ton of new, like... Star Destroyers? Is that what it's called? I think it was called the Star Destroyer. The ships. But that Palpatine rises from the ground. Oh my god. That movie was awful. There is like a shit ton of them, like thousands of them, and just to increase the stakes, because bigger is better apparently, rather than having smaller stakes that's more impactful,
book-based story. But I think what separates when that's done poorly and when it's being done well...
What are these cuts? Come on, Captain Midnight. I do better than this. There's like a cut that's half a millisecond.
I think what separates when that's done poorly...
Look, did you see that? It's like the car and then he jumps in. How do you... It's just a 10-minute video, dude. You can't go through it once, after editing once.
And when it's being done well, is the more personal stakes that the story is able to... I think what separates when that's done poorly and when it's being done well is the more...
Why'd you reference Thor the Dark World as it being done well? Don't get me wrong, I haven't seen the movie in a minute, but why would you say...
Separates when that's done poorly...
What is he referencing, actually, exactly?
This is hardly anything new in a comic book-based story, but I think what separates when that's done poorly and when it's being done well...
Oh, the... stakes being incredible. Does Thor: The Dark World do it well? Where they all Thor: The Dark World is stupid. I remember where it was, what was it called? The Alignment. It just so happens to be in like 2014 or 2013 where this alignment just so happens to happen. And everything is, Malekith is a fucking just some fucking white dude who's, and don't get me wrong, Malekith is supposed to be in blue, okay? I've read the comic. He's really intimidating in the comics. He's almost essentially a Joker. But I think he's worse because he has different motivations. He uses the alignment. He takes the red goo stone. He also has this other power where he can possess and like make Hulk out of these other elf people. To have it done, to say that that's done well, I don't know if I agree. It's been a long time since I've seen Thor: The Dark World, though. But I remember everybody universally agreed that this is the worst MCU movie. Ooh, I don't think that's the case anymore.
Is the more personal stakes that the story is able to attach all of that to. Loki presents us with main characters who have been deemed unnecessary by the masters of time itself. Sylvie especially.
Why do you gloss over that? Like it's not a fucking catastrophic thing that just happened.
Able to attach all of that to. Loki presents us with main characters who have been deemed unnecessary by the masters of time itself.
Yes, this is a problem. This is something I would put in my video and say, yeah, this is an issue. Did they just copy paste the hands? It kind of looks that way, huh? They all got the same exact hands, except the different colors. Maybe not. I see these little knuckle joists.
Sylvie especially has been a variant since she was a child, and has never been able to live anywhere but in the small pockets of time that exist before a place is completely destroyed.
And how would she have found that when she was a child? The fact that she gets stolen as a child and then immediately uses the temp pad that from the person that stole her in the first place. She knows how to use the temp pad, first off. Ridiculous. And then she also uses the temp pad to be able to get to places where the TVA can't catch her, which would mean that she had already found out that apocalypses are the one place she can hide without being found by the TVA. She wouldn't know where the apocalypses are. I don't think a child that's 10 years old would understand where apocalypses are and what apocalypses they would have to go to in the cosmos. Like, other than the only thing I can think of is like in the past of where she came from, but she was playing with toys. I don't think she would remember that well. Plus, she's a kid. I don't think she has the brain power to understand that apocalypses can hide her from whatever the fuck it was that stole her. She doesn't even understand how it was them time traveling. She probably thought it was just teleporting. The fact that the TVA can't catch her almost immediately it's stupid. It makes them look really insanely incompetent.
Our Loki hasn't always had to live that way. So when they come face to face with the one person maintaining...
Why can't you get high quality video, dude? It's not that hard.
...that whole system, they have extremely different reactions. And I think that made the finale feel earned and also inevitable from a character perspective.
I don't think so. I think anybody would talk about the implications of creating a shit ton of timelines where everything is... where there's a multiversal war and so many people will fucking die. I think anybody would think about that rather than a selfish idea. I don't think I'm well convinced to think that Sylvie, who had traveled all her life running away from the TVA, and then up to the point where she kills Kang, had she not considered the implications that would have. Because then that would just create a bunch of problems for other children that were just like her when she was that age, stolen at that age. It's just the fact that I'm talking about this more than the show did. Actually, it makes me mad because they're supposed to have this kind of conversation where it's just the two of them talking about what the implications are, how she feels about what has been done to her, and how she's been running away for so long. Even though they have a sliver of moments like, yeah, free will is deserved, okay? And then the TVA they even offer her the ability to be in their own timeline with like the other Loki, and Loki's like, you know what, I might take that offer. Sylvie's like, no, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna be the one to make free will a necessity. It's just not part of her motivation. She didn't run away because she didn't have free will. She ran away because the TVA is fucking fascists. I might be speaking out of my ass right now because now that I'm thinking it over, it does kind of have to do with free will. But to say that she killed Kang for the ability of others to have free will is bizarre because she's not a good person. So she doesn't do it for anybody other than herself. But the fact that she does that doesn't mean that the TVA goes away. She doesn't even think about that. She doesn't even think about the implications of what would happen if there are multiple timelines. If there are multiple times, there are going to be multiple TVAs. There's going to be multiple TVAs that are worse than the TVA that they have right now. I'm thinking so much harder than the show did. And it's annoying. Sorry, Keela. And it sucks that we didn't have this kind of conversation in the show. I'm just gonna stop talking about it. I'm gonna save that in the video.
I guess I am just jumping straight to that finale, but that was definitely the part of the show that I was most impressed with. Instead of ending with a giant battle, which we do get a little of, the show's finale mostly consists of a long conversation. A conversation that perfectly...
Not a conversation. It's definitely not a conversation. Kang is talking most of the time. They're not exchanging ideas. That's what a conversation is. It's just exposition. It's literally him explaining all of his past, all of what he's been doing, all of what he's why he's doing it. In order for us, the audience, to think that he has a good reason. He's such an underdeveloped character that comes out of nowhere. And he's supposed to expose everything that he's ever done to us so that we can try to understand what happens. Even though nobody would actually talk the way that he does. Nobody would talk the way that he does. Because it's not a conversation. It's just exposition. He would reveal some of the stuff like, I had to do this. This is why that happens. This is why that happens. And there's so much that can be cut. So much. It's like an hour of them just talking, or 45 minutes of them just talking, even though everything that he says could have been cut to like 5 minutes. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. And then there's hardly a conversation with Sylvie and Kang, or Sylvie and Loki. Instead, Sylvie and Loki fight each other. Okay. Then fucking Sylvie kisses Loki, and Loki's like, "Oh, please, no, don't leave me." And then Sylvie just kills Kang without any second thought of what she might be doing. Yeah.
Illustrates the difference between these two characters, even if they are technically the same person. To me, that was pretty smart writing. Instead of a simple MacGuffin conversation, a conversation that perfectly illustrates the difference between these two characters.
A conversation that separates the two characters? Hold on, how do you mean?
A conversation that perfectly illustrates the difference between these two characters, even if they are technically the same person. To me, that was pretty smart writing.
What? The conversation that illustrates the differences between the two characters. You mean the ultimatum that he gives them? I don't think that has anything to do with the two characters being separate.
Technically the same person. To me, that was pretty smart writing.
It's just an ultimatum. You're thinking too deeply, my guy. They could have easily chosen the same thing. Sylvie should have thought about choosing the same thing as Loki. Loki's, even though his character drastically changes in episode 1, Loki's thinking, like, assuming that the changes in episode 1 is valid. Like, let's say we ignore the drastic change in character. Loki's right. Loki's kind of correct to think that, oh, we should probably, like, take over Kang's job, even though it's gonna be fucking meaningless in the end.
Instead of a simple MacGuffin or a thin revenge plot, Sylvie and Loki are driven apart because...
What do you mean a thin revenge plot? That's Sylvie's whole thing. It is literally Sylvie. I have to have misheard.
Instead of a simple MacGuffin or a thin revenge plot, Sylvie and Loki are driven apart because they see the universe in fundamentally different ways.
It's a revenge plot. Loki's dare I say, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Loki is a more reasonable character than Sylvie. Sylvie is butthurt as fuck for holding a grudge for fucking decades, to be running away from the TVA, and then once she learns, oh, this is why they're coming after me, she doesn't even give it a second thought. Because even though that would answer her question of, oh, this is why they're coming after me, this is why they have to hold one timeline, then that problem is solved, okay? Let's say she doesn't think about that anymore. It's like, okay, that's reasonable. She doesn't even go after the fact of thinking that people should have free will. She never has given that thought. I'm trying to think of... unless they talk about it in Lamentus, which that's the one episode I don't remember quite as well. I'm fairly certain that they do not talk about people needing to have free will, because she takes it really personally. And, I mean, Kang obviously senses that in her too, tells her to grow up. But to have a grudge like that, when you're 10 years old and holding that till you're like 25, 30 years old, it's so childish. I'm just realizing now how childish Sylvie is. It's kind of stupid. Kind of a lame character now that I think about it.
Because they see the universe in fundamentally different ways.
Yeah, one's a child.
She has lived her life not trusting anyone and hating the TVA. So it only makes sense for her to outright reject the proposal of the man who created it. Whereas our Loki, who is more cautious and wasn't shaped by those experiences, and has always loved the idea of having real power, is more inclined to take over.
At this point, he doesn't care about power. That's his whole thing. You think he wants power? He literally says it right here. That it's all this that's accumulated to him just wanting more power. It's a stupid thing to assume, because for some reason he just wants to do the right thing. It's, oh my god. Even though he has more reasoning to think like, oh, people should definitely have free will. Hers is just, these people have been chasing me forever, and I have no idea why, and I just want to kind of kill them and stop them. And then she figures out, oh, this is why. But she doesn't care.
Who remains. You can think her choice to kill him is a stupid one, and judging by the final scene, I would probably agree with you. But it's still a choice that feels perfectly in line with who this character is.
It is. I think it is fair to say that it's in line, but it's horribly developed. It's really not well. I don't think that it's, like I said, they just don't have they just need to have a conversation about it, or develop it throughout the episodes. But that's just not something that they do. She doesn't have a conversation about her family dying off, her family that she's loved, being taken away from her, and that idea of having free will being a thing that she has always wanted and needed. because of her family or something like that, or like her friends, or just even the fucking toys, just something, just something where we can actually believe this person should think that people should have free will, because that's at the last episode. That's what it's about. It's not about her trying to get revenge, or it is about her trying to get revenge, but then she realizes I'm kind of giving her more benefit of the doubt than I think I should be. Maybe it is just as simple as a revenge plot for her character in episode 6, but it should be. God damn it! I'm writing the show. Fucking hell! It should be the fact that she would have to consider free will for everybody rather than just herself. It's stupid that she has that kind of that grudge since she was fucking 10. She's never learned from it ever.
And I respect the writing work that went into earning that decision.
They're frost giants, by the way. They should not be having a blanket for. Oh, that's so funny, dude.
Speaking of characters, I should probably talk about Owen Wilson's turn as Mobius a little bit more, because it was kind of surprising, at least to me. Honestly, when it was announced that Owen Wilson was going to play a TVA agent in this, I kind of thought he would phone it in. Not because I think Wilson is a bad actor, he's not, but just because it sounded like kind of a
You forgot to reframe Owen Wilson in this shot.
a thankless role on paper. I mean, it's not like Mobius is a super dynamic personality on the comics page. But I turned out to be pretty wrong here, I think. Mobius, while I would have liked to see more episodes that really focused on him specifically,
What was
might
that?
be the him specifically. I think Mobius, while I would have liked to see more episodes that really focused on him specifically, might be the breakout star of the show. Wilson brings to
Might be the breakout star of the show. Depends what he means. If he's talking about acting, I think Loki or Tom Hiddleston's acting is better. Would I say far better? I don't know if I would, because Owen Wilson is pretty. Now this is all like pretty subjective, but I think this is something everybody can agree more on. That Owen Wilson is a pretty good actor, and he's had really good acting jobs in movies. I think his performance is right under Loki or Tom Hiddleston's. He's pretty what's the word? Calm. Nonchalant. He doesn't try too hard, and I think that makes it more believable.
To Mobius, and
The character, however, is just there's not a lot to work with.
an affable, everyman sense of humor that plays well against the ridiculousness of Loki and the MCU in general, but it's more than just comic relief. There's a
Why'd you use the animated show? That's a weird. Okay.
melancholy to Wilson's performance here that absolutely enhances the fairly basic character arc that he has on the page. The revelation that he had a normal human life before all this is honestly something that I saw coming from a mile away, but it still worked really well, in large part because of what Wilson brings to that role.
Because of what does he bring to that role?
What could have felt like lazy stunt casting ended up really working in Loki's favor here.
You're saying the character is well done because of Owen Wilson's acting.
And brings to that role. What
does he bring to the role, though? I mean, he's a good actor. Are you saying like it's believable?
Part because of what Wilson brings to that role. What could have felt like lazy stunt casting ended up really working in Loki's favor here. And the rest of the cast.
I think it's the fact that we just get more time with the character. I don't think it has to do with Owen Wilson's acting. Even though it is it's a good acting performance. If we had somebody as good of an actor, which I don't think it's that hard to find, considering Mobius's character doesn't have much acting to do. I might be undermining that a little bit, but I think an actor, like a small actor who has had experience, could do just as well of a job because of the character moments that we have with Mobius. I don't think it has to do with Owen Wilson's acting at all. Now, if you're talking about Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, well, then that's a different thing. But I'm not sure if Mobius is influenced by Owen Wilson, to say the least. I think it has more to do with the character He's an intriguing character. I'll be honest. He's underdeveloped. But he's a character I liked. Something I do like about the show. I think, it might, to be honest, it might just be because of Owen Wilson. So I might just agree. I don't know. I think I would have to rewatch his scenes.
Cast is really solid too. Mabatha Raw's performance as Renslayer probably won't get as much attention as the lead.
Yeah, her acting was probably fine. The material was ass. The material was terrible. She had no sort of character at all. She was essentially a robot. That's kind of what she was just another version of Plank from Captain Marvel. It's a little Mauler reference for you.
Or the big,
but she was really, she didn't have much to work with, which sucks.
Guest star in the finale. But I thought she was great. She really needed to give a performance that kept the audience on their toes, going from wise to sinister to kind and back again over and over throughout the season.
Kind?
Something.
What do you mean to kind? Also, she should not be at the front like this. She's no I'm gonna be a weeb again. She's no fuck. What's his name? Who's the leader for on Attack on Titan? The guy with the blonde hair. Fuck. It's been a minute since I've seen him. I miss that guy. I have to. Army guy from Attack on Titan. Not Eren Yeager. Commander guy from Attack on Titan. Erwin Smith, yes. She's no Erwin Smith. God, Edwin. She's no Edwin. To be the one to be the one at the head of the TVA, which is ridiculous considering how gigantic the TVA is. She should definitely not be using herself as somebody, putting herself forward, unless she has really good motivations, like Edwin Smith did. Like
and back again over and over throughout the season. Something that I think is probably easier said than done for most actors. Oh, and as much as I hate to complain about Black Widow again, I think there's something really interesting about the fact that Loki,
dude, those cuts, man,
the third Marvel Disney Plus show this year, sets up probably the next 5 to 10 years of the MCU.
Yeah, that sucks though. It sucks because of what they did. That does set up the next 5 to 10 years. Because, my God, Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man, Quantumania Ant-Man, fucking No Way Home. All of that has to do with time travel, or not time travel, multiple universes. Have you finished Attack on Titan? Yes, I've caught up. I've completely caught up. I'm reading the manga now, even though it's been a minute since I've read the manga. But that's a fantastic show. I still have to think about what they did with Eren in season 4. But I don't want to get into that. That's a whole other topic I'd love to talk about.
On this massive scale, and Black Widow sets up, I don't know, the Hawkeye TV show.
Oh my God, that's what they're doing. Yelena's gonna fucking try and kill this guy. I don't know. She's gonna be the one to fucking protect him. I don't know. Why she look like she's an assassin from Abstergo right here?
To be clear, I wouldn't have any problem with that if the movie was great. It's not like I'm judging these off of what they set up. But when
that camera shake is pretty terrible when you reframe it like this.
That if the movie was great, it's not like I'm judging these off of what they set.
It's so shaky. It's giving me like a headache almost.
But when you combine it with how lazy and tossed off that movie feels in general, it really makes it seem like Loki was the important project for Marvel and Black Widow was more of an afterthought.
Doesn't that kind of suck? Doesn't that kind of like you're being antithetical to what you said in the beginning by saying that these shows are worse in terms of story than the other shows or than the other movies? I guess you said otherwise for Loki though, so I don't know what you're trying. I guess what you're saying is consistent then with what you said then.
But I guess I should probably talk about that setup a bit more. So even though he was,
let's say Atla. Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's no way that's what Atlas, right? Yeah, it has to be Atlas or something.
Probably talk about that setup a bit more. So even though he wasn't technically playing Kang here, Jonathan Majors' performance in this episode got me more excited to see him than anything they ever did with Thanos.
I think his performance is... It depends on what his performance is, because he says that he took clown lessons. I talked about this last week, but he said he took clown lessons to act the way that he did as Kang. I think it was intriguing. I definitely, the first time seeing it, I was like, damn, this is kind of fun to watch, him acting like this. A lot of other people say otherwise, though. So, I don't know. It depends if he's going to be acting like that all the time. I think I might get a little annoyed. I don't know. I've never seen any of his other stuff. But if he acts like that in those two, that's kind of sucks.
Thanos pre-Infinity War. I know some...
Wait, hold on. What the fuck? Hold on.
...excited to see him than anything they ever did with Thanos pre-Infinity War.
Bitch! I'm going to show you guys something. Okay. Which one was it? Just hold. And we're gonna do this. Oh, what the fuck? So this scene with Thanos is pretty intimidating.
Your politics bore me. Your demeanor is that of a pouty child. And apparently, you alienated my favorite daughter, Gamora. I shall honor our agreement, Kree, if you bring me the order. But return to me again empty-handed, and I will bathe the Stallways in your blood.
Yep, so, yeah, completely disagree with you there, buddy. That Thanos is pretty intimidating pre-Infinity War 2. In fact, I don't know about this shot. This is at the end of Avengers. He's kind of smiling. How is that not intimidating? Just the implication behind what he's thinking there. This is after the invasion of Earth. He's smiling. He's smiling even though Loki failed at his job. What kind of guy does that after like failing? Even in what's the other scene? In Avengers, the other is talking to Loki, and the other's the dude with the six fingers on his hand. He's like to Loki, if you don't bring back the Tesseract to us, there's no crevice. He literally says there's no crevice, no path, no secret path to the cosmos where he won't find you. Or, you know, let me just bring up the scene because that scene is so good. I'm just gonna play it for you real quick because that's the scene I kept rewatching in order to see what Loki's like in that stance. All right. Here it is. Let me bring it back.
If you fail, if the Tesseract is kept from us, there will be no realm, no barren moon, no crevice where he cannot find you. You think you know pain, he will make you long for something sweet as pain.
It's such a good scene. Like, I didn't even realize until rewatching it now that it has to do with that had to do with talking about Thanos. Just the setup, man, dude. It's such an easy thing to do. Just kind of like edging. You're literally edging the audience to want something as powerful as Thanos, but you don't give them an idea of how powerful he is. That is power creep, okay? That's how you do it well. They do it so well in that. I fucking love that line now, too. Go watch Avengers. Avengers is a good fucking movie, okay?
I know some people thought he went a little too set up.
And fuck you. Fuck you, Captain Midnight, for saying that Thanos pre-Infinity War is not intimidating, okay?
So
lousy bitch, soggy wet rag.
Even though he wasn't technically playing Kang here, Jonathan Majors' performance in this episode got me more excited to see him than anything they ever did with Thanos pre-Infinity War.
Can you imagine seeing Thanos in the theaters as a comic book nerd? That wasn't me, but seeing that guy at the end of Avengers and be like, holy shit, he's fucking smiling. Does he smile? Is this at the end of Avengers? I kind of want to just make sure, because I'm kind of geeking out about Avengers recently. I absolutely love that movie. I might just rewatch it again tonight. That's such a good movie, dude. Okay, so after shawarma, or before shawarma. Yeah, it is here. Here it is.
Humans. They are not the cowering wretches we were promised. They stand. They are unruly and therefore cannot be.
Imagine being a fucking nerd, seeing this dude like threatening Loki, already bowing down to fucking Thanos. He would make you long for something as sweet as pain. What a line, dude.
To challenge them is to court death.
He was so come on, man. How can you say that's not intimidating, my guy? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you say something like that?
I know some people thought he went a little too over the top here, and don't get me wrong, he went big with his performance, but I think it was the right choice given the character. I'm sure many would have preferred.
I don't think that there's enough character to say that he would act the way that he did. I was expecting something like a fucking god-like being trying to be like, you, how dare you come to my realm, challenging the fucking challenging the fucking, how dare you. Instead we get a fucking silly guy dancing around on this table.
Preferred some giant.
Is that a dolly back there? Maybe that's part of the set.
I think it was the right choice given the character. I'm sure
it is. Is it part of the production team? It has to be. There's a basket. Yeah.
Many would have preferred some giant cosmic god, but the show goes out of its way.
It should be, because the giant cosmic god is kind of controlling the timeline.
To make He Who Remains the exact opposite of that. Instead of a fearsome Kang type figure, we basically get a burnt out manager who seems sick of his own power. And
it's a stupid thing, dude. I'm not even gonna go into like why that's stupid, because they literally rush this character into somehow being the one on top, especially because of, in the comics, how Kang really wants to be powerful, and like him and Doctor Doom. I've read a couple comics where him and Doctor Doom are interacting. Really interesting stuff, by the way. Definitely not the same character that we see on screen, though. A lot of people are pretty disappointed in that. But besides, even though he wasn't the one to be like that in the comics, he should definitely, if he stepped up to the throne, why wouldn't he be like that? He understood what he was getting into. Why is he just all of a sudden? Yeah, I'm kind of tired of my job. You can kill me, or if you do kill me, I'm just gonna come back up on top anyway after the multiversal war. It's like, dude, if you're saying this, and you're saying you're gonna come out back on top anyway, just kill yourself then. Like seriously, dude, just off yourself. Find the the tallest rock on your planes and just jump off. You're gonna be just fine. Or just leave the job. You want to go get a sandwich from New York in 1990? You can go do that. Nobody's gonna control the timeline. There's gonna be a multiversal war, and there's gonna be another one of you restoring the sacred timeline. So then, what's the point? You say this yourself, dude. There's no point in having to go through so much effort to get somebody to take your spot. And even if you did, why wouldn't you get another Kang to do it rather than 2 fucking Lokis?
And as the MCU goes forward, I'm really interested to see how different Kang himself is from the performance that we get here. My guess
I hope he's very different. I kind of don't want to see this again. I feel like if I see this again, he's going to be really annoying.
is they won't have much in common. I seriously doubt that Kang will be as goofy as this, but I do hope that Majors retains that live-wire, unpredictable energy. Putting that to a more sinister use, I think could make for a really incredible villain. And the statue we see at the end gives me a lot of hope that it won't be a CG performance. I think they
What? It won't be a CG performance? What do you mean?
That to a more sinister use, I think could make for a really incredible villain. And the statue we see at the end gives me a lot of hope that it won't be a CG performance.
What are you trying to say? Am I being retarded, or do I just not understand what this guy's saying?
Putting that to a more sinister use, I think could make for a really incredible villain. And the statue we see at the end gives me a lot of hope that it won't be a CG performance.
Is he saying it's not going to be like a godlike being that's going to be in that spot? Because... But why wouldn't you want that? What's the issue with that? Shouldn't the one being the controller of a sacred timeline be a godlike being?
I think they did a solid job with Thanos, but I think Kang would also benefit a lot from being a flesh and blood presence.
But Thanos isn't human. What? Thanos is able to, do the things that he does because he's incredibly powerful. He's from a different planet, and he has a gauntlet that's able to suck those powers in. He's incredibly strong without the powers anyway. He beats up Hulk. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine a Thanos being just a regular human? Oh my god, that idea fucking terrifies me. I bet it's on the internet. Human Thanos. Oh my god. That's gross. Oh. 13 years old, 17, 22. What happened to his smile? Dude, this one is fucking hilarious to me. It's just a regular human being. Oh my goodness. Come on.
Instead of yet another
Chad Thos. Oh my god.
CG
yeah, Chad Thos.
Villain.
Oh, poor King Thor. So much responsibility. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, eh, brother?
What the fuck? Why'd you play that?
Oh, poor King Thor. So much responsibility. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, eh, brother?
Was there a point being made there? Here, this is what I thought King was going to be. I'm King the Conqueror. Listen carefully, you who think of yourselves as heroes. I've traveled through the great reaches of time to bring you a warning. He looks so much cooler there and more intimidating. He's gay in the cartoon? Oh my god.
Another
There's
CG
no way.
villain.
This looks like it's from a video game that I feel like I know.
Oh, poor King Thor. So much responsibility. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
He really does kind of want to suck him off, I guess.
Hey, brother.
He really sounds like that. I still don't understand why he played that. He sounds sus. Dude, he sounds so fucking sus.
Blood presence. Instead of
He's our new Christian.
yet another CG villain.
What are you trying to say?
Hope that it won't be a CG performance. I think they did a solid job with Thanos, but I think Kang would also benefit a lot from being a flesh and blood presence, instead of yet another CG villain.
Oh, poor King Thor. So much responsibility. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, eh, brother?
I don't understand why you put that in the video, Captain Midnight. Are you okay, dude? Why'd you put that in there? I'm so confused, my guy.
Honestly, I didn't really go into it expecting anything special, but Loki turned out to be exactly what the MCU needed at kind of the right moment that it needed it. And
Okay,
while I'm
why? You still are saying it as if you're setting up your video. You haven't provided much of anything.
a little afraid that all of these timelines will eventually make everything feel like it doesn't have any stakes at all, I didn't really feel that that was the case here. The MCU needed a concrete direction to go in after Thanos, and while it took a while, I think Loki...
No, they don't. That's kind of the thing with movies and stuff like this. You don't have to have a concrete way to go. That kind of almost like you can create expectation, but to have an unknown idea of where everything is going. It's like after Infinity War, everybody's like, what the fuck are they going to do now? There's no how are they gonna solve this? Like, assuming people who haven't read the leaks or stuff like that, where the hell are they gonna go with this? Having that kind of expectation or idea of like what's gonna happen next, that's something you definitely want. And creating that kind of idea for your audience is probably like the best thing to do.
Any stakes at all? I didn't really feel that that was the case here. The MCU needed a concrete direction to go in after Thanos.
It's just create good stories and then have an overlaying story like Thanos. One could be Doctor Doom. Oh my goodness, a lot of people love that guy. Or you can also do Kang, but do him better. Don't do multiverse stuff like this.
And while it took a while, I think Loki presents that. More importantly, though, I think it stands on its own as a...
It took a while. I think Loki presents that.
And while it took a while, I think Loki presents that.
What do you mean it took a while? Like it took the release of the episodes weekly?
Doesn't have any stakes at all? I didn't really feel that that was the case here. The MCU needed a concrete direction to go in after Thanos, and while it took a while, I think Loki presents that.
Means took a while after Endgame, I guess. Like, you don't have to have like having the overlaying. I'm not sure if overlaying is even the right word, but I'm gonna keep saying it because I can't think of another one. Having that as a thing for the MCU, I mean, it's very much MCU-like, right? But you don't have to have it. That's the thing. A lot of people really like small-scale movies like Joker because they're good stories. I don't understand how that's such a difficult thing to understand for people. You don't have to have a huge overarching... That's the word. Overarching villain. Even though that's a fucking, if you do it well, if you do it right, like with Thanos, it can be an absolutely fantastic payoff. But if you're gonna do it, you gotta set it up correctly. You gotta set it up with everything in mind. Not fucking multiverse, dude. Multiverse is a terrible way to go, especially with all the implications, dude.
More importantly, though, I think it stands on its own as a fun, engaging, and at times really well-written show.
Nope.
Based around Hiddleston's strengths as an actor.
What? No. Besides his acting, his acting is great. Why aren't you talking about Richard E. Grant? Okay, classic Loki in that show in episode 5, I think. He was such a compelling character, so cool. I wanted to see a whole fucking movie about him, but we're not gonna get that because we know how he dies, and now it's like, man, I can't see him again.
I would love for season 2 to be a bit longer.
I don't want a season 2. Please, no season 2.
But I'll definitely be there either way.
Oh my god. Fucking Disney show.
I talked about feeling burnt out at the start of this.
I'm kind of a Disney shield too, so I mean, suck my dick.
Video, and I have to admit that YouTube can really feel like that sometimes, even if it's often really fun too. I found that seeking out other outlets for thinking and creativity to focus on can go a long way towards recharging, which is
What is he talking about?
outlets for thinking and creativity. I talked about feeling burnt out at the start of this video, and I have to admit that YouTube can really feel like that sometimes, even if it's often really fun too. I found that seeking out other outlets for thinking and creativity to focus on can go a long way towards recharging, which
Recharging your burnout? Is he talking about himself now?
is part of why I like using Brilliant.
Motherfucker, he got me. Is he gonna say something else at the end? Alright. Jeez, that was a fucking awful video. Let's see some of the comments. As long as Marvel continues to be varied in its storytelling, people won't be as burnt out by everything. Because at this point, they're doing several things at once. If you don't love that, there's probably something else for you. If you love it all like myself, you'll be eating like royalty. Should I do it like that, or should I do it like window capture? Nah, I should do it like that, right? Yeah. This is fine. As long as Marvel continues to be varied in its storytelling, people won't be as burnt out by everything. I don't care about variations in storytelling. I just want good stories. What the fuck is that? What's happening? Hello? What just happened? Did I get raided? I don't know. Oh, I don't have... Oh, fuck. I don't have that guy here. Browser. Oh, what the fuck? Did you subscribe? No way. No way you did that. YouTube? Oh. I was gonna say, dude. Thank you for subscribing. Dude, that threw me way off. I was like, what does that mean? It was showing like the wrong thing too. I was like, huh? I didn't think Streamlabs would show me that. That was odd. Because at this point, they're doing several things at once. If you don't love that, there's probably something else for you. Because at this point, they're doing several things at once. I was also confused. Yeah. Maybe I should just disconnect it from my YouTube. Because I think if people are going to subscribe, it's going to show up during stream. If you don't love that, there's probably something else for you. People won't be as burnt out by everything because at this point they're doing several things at once. There's nothing in this comment of substance. This is a stupid comment. If you don't love that, there's probably something else for you. They're doing several things as one. What do you mean? Civil War is a perfect example of doing several things at once. Multiple different themes at once. King has me so excited for Phase 4. The multiverse was a good move on Marvel's part. It's going to be insane. Well, see, now here's the thing with multiverse. After writing, I was on Discord with somebody about this. With the multiverse, you now have the implication that anything and every choice is going to be executed, and that will be its own branch. That means that every movie, every show that we see from here on, any contrivance can be explained, any convenience can be explained, but also anything that happens that like let's say the main protagonist dies in the movie and it's like a really good payoff. That means it's only one branch of the timeline, and that also means that another branch would have that protagonist live. And to have that, possibility it's you can't write a story now without having the other one a certain possibility. Surely that's what the branches in timeline mean. Now, if you have the branches be more random and not at every single decision making point, then you can then I think it'd be safer to write stuff after this show came out. But I really don't think that's the implication because of how many different splits in the timeline that we see. Still bummed Mobius didn't get his jet ski scene. Why did they set that up if you're not going to pay it off? What a silly thing to do. It's like basic storytelling. I'm disappointed Mobius didn't say wow. Okay. Some people are getting burnt out with Marvel, but with how unique WandaVision and Loki has been, I've been loving any Marvel I can get. Okay, buddy. So excited for Phase 4. Yeah, WandaVision, that's coming up next after my Loki video. WandaVision is going to be down the shitter, too. It should be Marvel's route now. More character-focused stories that don't rely on big set pieces every time. No. More character-focused? It's not even... The only character that we get from Loki is in the first episode, and that's just speed running his fucking character to become almost the same person that we lost in Infinity War. Thanos literally says no resurrections this time, but then they bring him back in the fucking show. Interesting that you cite the number of episodes being a problem. Being British, I'm very used to short series that have a lot to pack a lot in. Thank you! For me, it certainly had that kind of feel. Never mind. I take that back. Oh, it had okay, you're saying it has a lot to pack in because of its even though it's very short. Like, you can definitely have that. I don't think it probably is packed in the show. Except for the last episode. That last episode has a lot of bloat. Would be fun to have Mobius become the Coulson of Phase 4 and beyond. Oh my god. Agents of TVA? Fuck no. Please don't. My favorite part is when the timelines broke apart and it looked exactly like Spider-Verse when the alternate spiders fell. I didn't even find Mobius funny or anything. He was definitely my favorite character. I don't know why he's just likable. Yeah, I liked him the most, I think, out of the show. I feel like the Loki we got in the show felt more along the lines of the Loki from Infinity War rather than the Loki from the Battle of New York. That's one of my gripes with the show. This is a good comment. 41 replies to that. Oh, no. Because he knows despite what he does, he'll finally meet the finale. And Thanos. It's like, I can get where you're coming from. However, they did a decent job turbo boosting his personal growth. Attack on Titan Season 4 needs a SandCast. You know what? I'll give it to you. Okay? You got to give me some time, though. I'd love to have a Season 4 on SandCast. If you watched it too, I'll bring you on. We can talk about it, okay? Because I really gotta think about that show. Why am I seeing? I listened to Mad Villain once, and I'm seeing his profile picture everywhere. In my opinion, WandaVision and Loki have been the real standouts of Phase 4 so far. Because they're different. It's like, doesn't mean they're good. The point about Mobius and Renslayer was the strongest. They really could have saved a proper twist or later season so that they could have twisted the knife for the audience. I think that's something that they might be doing anyway. I think the one might kill the other. It's probably like season 2 or 3 where Mobius is gonna fucking kill Renslayer. It's gonna be silly. We might even get like flashback scenes of them working together. Because they know how many people were complaining about how little they saw each other. The show I wrote off when first announced as the MCU, now I'm singing the praises the most. Oh, why would you write the show off when it was announced? Hey, if I come in to talk about it, I need to rewatch it again. Dude, you know what? We'll rewatch it together, okay? At least season 4. As a Brit, getting 8 or less episode seasons is the norm, but it's a norm lol, but saying that I didn't want more of this show. Can't wait to see what the multiverse in the MCU has to offer. It's gonna be terrible, Nathaniel. You're down? Let's do it. What I like about these shows is that you have way more time to focus on these characters than a movie. Fuck off, okay? There are so many good instances in the movies, in Thor, in Avengers, where there's such like short lines, but it really digs deep into the character of Loki, okay? What is this? Villain therapy? Loki? I might have to take a look at that. Oh, there's a video off to the side. And this show compared to Black Widow is a great comparison of why shows are better. No, this doesn't mean shows are better. Have you guys seen Game of Thrones? Are you kidding me? This show compared to Black Widow is a great comparison of why shows are better. You should say why shows can be better. But even then, Loki is the worst show I have ever seen. Yes, worse than Game of Thrones. Issues 1 and 2 of a comic book is similar to episodes of a TV show because they both drive the story along. Seems like you're trying to say something smart, but really failed to do so. So far, is there a lot? I was thrilled to say that every Marvel cinematography visual looks unique and different. In Phase 3, Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Ragnarok have same color grading. No? What? Ragnarok is incredibly colorful. Are you kidding me? Civil War is more grayscale because of the tone. Doctor Strange is... It has color. It has color. Doctor Strange definitely has like colorful scenes with like the different dimensions. I don't know what you're talking about. It's definitely a step up for Phase 4. I don't even really care about cinematography. The Last Jedi had really good cinematography. It's a terrible fucking movie. I was like, thank God some executives out there on Marvel Studios go to YouTube and see Patrick Williams' video about MCU cinematography. Oh my God, don't get me started on Patrick Williams. Why'd you say it like that? Patrick H. Williams. Oh. If Loki wasn't exactly what Marvel needed, it would have been melted. The show is bad. Shows how bad MCU will be. No on, but Disney can bury themselves. Go woke, go broke. It's oh my God. This can I get something straight? This anti SJW shit is really getting corrosive to the discussion about film and writing in general. Okay, now it can definitely have some relations because the movies and shows that are coming out have a lot more pandering than previously, but that doesn't automatically mean that something in a show or in a movie automatically means that it's pandering. Okay, a lot of people will recite the fact that Loki is bisexual or whatever sexual. He's a fucking god from Asgard. Why the fuck wouldn't he want to have sex with any being on Asgard? Okay, it's not an issue that he is. They hardly make it about him or about it. It's a weird kind of conversation they have between Loki and Sylvie. But if you're gonna have a character be bi, fuck it. That's the way to do it without shoving in our mouths. Okay, stop being so fucking soft. I don't fucking care. It's not a huge part of the show. It's a quick line that they have. Blink and you'll miss it. It's very reasonable for him to be bisexual. Always know it's going to be a good video with Captain Midnight. That's hilarious. Like your main critique of it is that you wanted more. More sitting and talking. More of the show in general, but also yes. This man is kind of salty. Interesting view on seasons being too short, as generally 22 episodes was too long. Dude, stuff being too long and too short is a terrible argument. Things like Naruto come out, people still watch the fuck out of it. What's it? One Piece that has like 800 episodes, people will still watch it. It doesn't automatically mean because something is longer or shorter means that it's better. Okay, more does not equal good, or more does not equal better in this case. But you really do lose those filler episodes that can go a long way with character building. If an episode has character building or just character development over plot, I don't think I would consider that a filler episode. A filler episode is more of something like what's the wild goose chase, wild goose hunt, one of those words. I'm not a fucking Englishman, okay? That's what I would consider a filler, and it's just something really insignificant to the plot. But if it has something, if it does character build, that thing that happens, that plot that happens comes naturally rather than maybe it's contrived. But if it does happen to develop the character or, you know, develop relationships, I would not consider that, even in the slightest filler. Sometimes more can also hurt or ruin it in ways. Absolutely. I completely agree. Even stuff like The Office, going to season 9, Boruto. Dude, I hear a lot of shit about Boruto being too long and is it dragged out? A lot of people don't like it for that. I was gonna reference The Office for after season 7. The jokes in that show really kind of go into the shitter. A lot of writers and producers, I think they also fall off the show, which is a detriment to the show. It's something you can really notice. Stranger Things seasons 2 and 3, pretty ass. Just because things are longer doesn't mean it's better, you know. 12 inches. That's not something any woman would want, or even guy. Even now, it's 2021. I can't be the only one that noticed that Loki's crash into the desert was something similar to Iron Man's. I felt like they were telling us that this was the start of something new. Oh, come on. Maybe he might be onto something, because that crash is kind of out of the blue. I still, maybe it was a callback to Iron Man's fall into the desert, but I don't think they were smart enough to say that they were telling us it was something new. Okay. I still wasn't the biggest fan of the show, despite how much I wanted to. Loki felt like a side character in his own story. I completely agree. And they could have handled the exposition dump at the end a lot better. Yes, the one that Captain Midnight says is a conversation is definitely an exposition dump. Wow, that voice crack. As you said, the show could have used another episode or two to flesh things out better. They could, but if they don't address those issues in those couple episodes, then it cannot be better. Well, I mean, I guess it could be better if they flesh some things out compared to what we have now, but it's still going to be the worst show that I've ever seen. So Marvel needed a complete destruction of Phase 1 through 3. Yes. Oh, dear. Yes, Matt. Owen Wilson was somehow perfect for the MCU. He was one of the few aspects of the show that I liked immediately. I kind of wish they did stuff with that Medea lady. She was kind of like traumatized that she found out she was a variant. I thought it was going to be a really cool conversation we would have about her just being completely fucking pissed off that she was being lied to. But even then, she would have a conversation about her still being loyal to the sacred timeline, because she's been doing that stuff forever now. I talked about this last week, but like, if they have variants being turned into members of the TVA, surely there has to be some sort of process where they like brainwash them, like in the Avatar episode where they brainwash stuff in that one city with those spies. Surely there's some place where some TVA officers do that. But it's just not shown. It's bizarre to me. Looking forward to Loki getting his own series in season 2, and not just a plucky idiot side character. Dude, so many people hate that. So far, Loki's my favorite of the Marvel Disney Plus show, and it is the only one I was least looking forward to. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was my most anticipated least favorite. So funny how that works. Well, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is better than Loki, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier is that worse than WandaVision? It is worse than WandaVision, yes. Yeah, they do some terrible character shit in that. Honestly, I think Marvel was seeing how Loki turned out before letting us know about any Spider-Man stuff. Okay. I think it's interesting to consider the original release order they had planned. Originally, we would have gone Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier first, then WandaVision, then Loki. As an overall narrative, that seemed to make more sense, and the comparisons between Black Widow and Loki wouldn't have been quite as stark. No? Why? Comparison between Black Widow and Loki, I don't think has anything to do with the release timeline. Growing up in England, you get used to TV shows only having 6 episodes. Interesting, it's a big reason why I've enjoyed the show so much. They get to the meat quicker. I would agree. Having a restriction like with 6 episodes can have a lot of writing opportunities, and you can really get the meat off the bone, over the fat filler. I just want the MC to have more color and go way more crazy and comic booky with their designs. Okay. As long as we have that, yeah, we can have shit stories too. Classic Loki wasn't enough. Classic Loki, man, there's just something about Classic Loki that I really love. Let me see if I can find. I have the show. His conversation with the other Loki, and how he was just so intriguing. Episode 5.
Trusting this man is not a good idea.
I can handle him. TVA has pruned a lot of these guys, and no two are alike. They're all
Let me see where it is. Is it here? I'm pretty sure Classic Loki was sitting down. It must have been way before. Here.
Because I'm right? Thanos kills us after Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Thanos.
See if I can get subtitles.
In my timeline, everything proceeded correctly my entire life until Thanos attacked our ship.
Pause for copyright. Have you watched Hunter x Hunter? Not yet. It's on my list. I think next I'm gonna watch is gonna be JoJo. I'm on Demon Slayer right now, but the animation is good, but the story is the action is it's unbelievable. It's really it is unbelievable. Average. It really is. It's really what's the word? Overrated. That's what I say. It is overrated. I understand people loving the animation because the animation is fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, it is pretty basic. It's kind of like an adventure, story. Animation is good, yeah. But yeah, the story is something. Oh my god, dude, the fucking jokes in that show is terrible. I hate the jokes in that. The whiny fucking dude. Demon Slayer with the orange suit. I forgot his name. Yenitsu or something. So fucking annoying. I cannot stand it. I think I stopped watching the show because of him. He was so incredibly annoying, dude. It's just consistently annoying.
So you didn't try to stab him?
Certainly not. Oh, take no offense, my friends, but blades are worthless in the face of a Loki sorcery.
This is the one time that you're straying away from what the sacred timeline does, because Loki actually is supposed to, according to the TVA, try to stab Thanos. So he didn't even try to do that. I hate the pig head guy. Loud as fucking annoying. He's another one, dude. He just got introduced. He's just unbelievably annoying. I thought he was gonna be like a cool, arrogant guy who just thinks he's all that. But my god, he's so fucking annoying that it's so annoying that he's just consistently that. Or is it she? Yeah, it's just she. I don't fucking remember. Just wait, dude. I think I'm gonna stop watching the show. No, I'm already like halfway through. It gets bad. You know what? We're gonna have a SandCast on Demon Slayer, okay? Let's fucking do that. I gotta do that first.
Stunt magical potential.
Stunt our magical. I love the fact that he's so like, we're so fucking powerful, Loki. You don't even understand how powerful you are. It stunts our magical potential. That's such an interesting way to think. Like, you just look at his image like, what the fuck is he thinking right now? He's probably thinking about how fucking awesome he is at his magic and how convincing he is with trying to convince the other Loki that you shouldn't be doing this kind of shit.
They look awesome.
Oh yes, especially when they clatter to the ground just before your neck is snapped. I cast a projection of myself, so real, even the mad Titan believed it. Then hid as inanimate debris. After I faked my death.
Oh, so cool. And then people are saying like this is confirmed theory, like a fan theory. This is another timeline, dude. Okay, There's another timeline Loki.
I simply drifted in space.
I guess he is able to not pull out his knives because it's an apocalypse-like event. So, I guess that works.
Away from Thor, away from everything. Thought about the universe and my place in it. And it occurred to me that everywhere I went, only pain followed. So,
oh my God, I'm pausing for copyright issue, but it's like when I was watching this episode, I usually every issue that comes out, I'm like, oh my God, or I roll my eyes or just say something. What the fuck is that? In this scene, I was so captivated, dude. I just shut the fuck up and was watching. I was just listening really closely because it was so interesting.
I removed myself from the equation, landed on a remote planet and stayed there in isolation, in solitude, for a long, long time.
Keep in mind, this Loki is 1,500 years old. Something along the lines of that. And to hear that this dude stayed there for a long, long time and he's aged like this, bro, thousands of years. Guaranteed.
How did the TVA find you?
I got lonely.
Oh my God, dude. He was on solitude on a planet for fucking thousands of years. He says he gets lonely. I'm praising it, by the way. Because I'm just pausing his fucking copyright, but it's the implication of what he was thinking between the time where he spent on a planet in solitude up to the point where he said he got lonely. I just want a movie with that. I just want to see how he just no lines, no talking whatsoever unless he's talking to like projections of Thor or something like that. And just him talking to himself or just not talking at all and just being on a planet in solitude, practicing his magic. And then you get small glimpses, small flashbacks of him smiling about him and Thor playing or as they were kids or something like that. Dude, he gets, and then thousands of years pass, and that keeps happening. He gets lonely. Oh my God, bro. I'm getting myself emotional just because of that.
To tell you the truth, I missed my brother. I wondered if he missed me, if anybody else did. But as soon as I took my first steps to getting off the planet, the TVA arrived. Because we, my friends, have but one part to play. The god of outcasts.
Oh, it's so good, dude. It's so good. Oh my God, I'm fucking Kuman right now. I wish I wore white pants. God damn. Oh, what an interesting character, man. I fucking love this guy. And then he gets to the point where he
Nothing more.
fucking hates free will, and he's like, yeah, reasonable enough. And then he gets to the point where he gets to fulfill his part and conjures up fucking Asgard. All of fucking Asgard. Look at that shit. And it's like, yeah, I believe that dude who spent on his own on a planet thousands of years could conjure up something like that, especially with how arrogant he is with his power. Fucking having knives as a magic thing really diminishes our power. And he fucking conjures up Asgard. Is like that seems about right. Yeah, you seem like the guy who could do that. Okay. Oh my God, it's so interesting. And it's too bad he dies though. It's fucking. All right. I think that's it for today's SandCast. That was pretty fun. I like shitting on Captain Midnight. There might be some more shit on Captain Midnight I'd have to cover. The huge problem with Black Widow. This guy goes after Rick and Morty. I might have to take this guy out. How the Snyder Cut saves Cyborg. Oh my God. Anyway, who's the actor? For what? Oh, that's Richard. For classic Loki, that's Richard E. Grant. Richard E. Grant. Fantastic actor. What else has he been in? He's been in other things before. He's oh my god, he was in The Rise of Skywalker. That's funny. He was in Logan. Yes, that's right. Game of Thrones. He was in The Hitman's Bodyguard. What the hell? I gotta watch some of his movies though. I remember there was one movie that I really fucking loved with him in. So he played him as well. So he played him well. Yes, he played him very well. Richard E. Grant played that Loki incredibly well. Super good actor. He's also in Doctor Who. Christmas Carol. What was he in that I know him from? It might just be Logan. What did he play in Logan? Dr. Xander. Oh, he was the doctor dude. Oh. Is the new Doctor Strange coming out? Yeah, I think it's coming out next March. We have Shang-Chi coming up too. Shang-Chi heard it's going to be like a thriller. It's supposed to be from what Elizabeth Olsen said. She's the one who plays Wanda from WandaVision. She said it's the scariest Disney movie or Marvel movie that they're trying to make. But it's Multiverse of Madness. They might introduce the X-Men that way, but honestly, because of the multiverse, we can actually literally have anything that we want. We can actually have John Wick fighting gay robots that come from Doctor Who trying to kill Mr. Bean in their own timeline. That is a possibility now because we have multiple universes. I can't believe we're gonna be able to have that. All right, dude. I'll try to have SandCast next week. We'll see. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do a Demon Slayer one, and then we'll think about Attack on Titan. But for now, I'll see you later. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for subscribing, dude. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.